And with the meditation, for the first time, I was like, God, I can actually learn how to be calm, but how am I going to do this? I'm high energy, I'm angry, and I also had ADHD. How am I going to stay in the moment? I couldn't even sit there for 2 seconds. I was going to go out of my mind. But I said to myself, this is the only way I'm going to get out of this problem. I got to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And for 2 or 3 months, I white-knuckled meditation. When I say white-knuckled, I mean I had like sores in my palms from gripping just to stay in the moment. And as a result of doing that, for the first time, I got a glimpse of what this was going to do for me. I was learning how to be present. And then what I did is I incorporated another process to it. At the time, this was not something that a lot of people were even doing. Some women probably were doing it when they were using their diaries. I was journaling. I was writing down exactly what came to mind after my meditation. And then from there, I would write down how I felt. So if it was anger, I put anger. If it was whatever, feeling good today, whatever. Because it allowed me to look at myself as a third party. Isn't it amazing how we can give advice to someone, but yet we can't give the same advice to ourselves? Here you can. Here you can, because you can look at yourself from a third party perspective. But here was the reality, what it taught me during that time, is it taught me how to be present for the first time. That all the symptoms I would have from my ADHD, where I would get agitated, frustrated, angry, because I couldn't keep focused, I was able to keep focused. It offsetted those symptoms. I found myself that I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to use medication or act out sexually, right? Because these were the addictions I struggled with, to medicate. It was all to escape. And as a result of that, I realized for the first time, I said, I know where my anger is coming from. It's the fear from the past, from the failures that I've had in the past. It was that I didn't have a connection growing up with my father, because my father was never around. He was always busy traveling. He was never emotionally available. He was not at my ball games. He was not at my high school graduation nor my college graduation. And I didn't realize at the time, I didn't think it was a big deal, but then I realized that it was a big deal. It bothered me. And that's where my anger stemmed from. My root cause to my limited beliefs are traced back to my father. And often they are going to be traced back to a parent, a mother or father or some type of authoritative figure in your life at that time that had an impact on something that didn't work for you. So it was the meditation and journaling that allowed me to get to the root cause of the problem, just like on a manufacturing line, getting to the root cause of the bottleneck, to identify it. And next, what I had to do was to address it by forgiving the source, my father. And not only forgiving him, but forgiving myself. Now, I did this 3 times and it didn't work. So I said, well, God, I came this far. I still feel anger. What's going on? But it wasn't until I really let go and really forgave my father and myself, more importantly myself, that I felt it. It felt like a weight coming off my back. Matter of fact, I remember that day I was shaking and I was sweating profusely. And I felt like I lost 10 pounds as a result of it. I had finally let go of it. And here's what happened as a result of it. When anything that would trigger my anger, because I had road rage, if somebody cut me off in traffic, I would feel that anger for maybe 5 seconds or less, and then it would go away. I would come back into the moment, and it would go away. I knew then I released it. Because if it was still there, I didn't release it. See, every time when somebody cut me off in traffic, it wasn't because that person who cut me off in traffic that stirred up all that rage and anger. It went back to my father. Didn't even know it. All subconscious. All the subconscious level. So here's what happens when when you operate from fear in the past and the future. When you are operating in the problem and you're in the past, you're bringing up fear from the past that creates this level of stress in your body. That's the stress that you experience, that you put onto yourself. This might lead you to eating comfort foods that could take your wellness out of balance. This could lead to getting involved in codependent relationships with other people, that you get into a marriage that's codependent. Does codependency work? It's a good question. Does it work? Ask yourself, is codependency healthy and does it work? No. For a while. Well, it works for the person that requires to be entitled and enabled. Or they're looking for people pleasers. But in essence, you're not serving them because they're also not benefiting like they think they are. And it's draining. But this is what limited beliefs do by operating in the past and the future. They lead to those types of relationships. Not only in home, not only with yourself, but also with work. And this is what affects your performance. This is what affects your business performance because there are many codependent relationships in business. People you partner with, people that are your own customers. How many of you have customers that can drain you? They're constantly calling you, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't meet my expectation. You used to do this. Oh, I'll do better for you, That's not healthy.
Fire them.
Huh? Fire them. There you go. Well, it's putting up a boundary. That it's not like fire, but just putting up a boundary and communicating in a more effective way that you want to be the example of one that is interdependent rather than codependent. See, there's 3 types of relationships. There's codependency, independency, and interdependency. Independent is better than codependent, but independent in itself is not the answer. Because what that says is I'm responsible and accountable for what I do, but I really don't care what the other people do. You isolate other people. You cut them off. You cut off that flow. See, interdependency is still taking responsibility and accountability for what you do, but coming together with other people that are doing the same to do even bigger and greater things.
Just like our government.
There you go. But that doesn't mean that other people that are observing you, they may be codependent, but if you're being the example, they're going to eventually over time begin to see that could rub off on them to start making changes for themselves. This is what leads to better business and to better relationships with yourself, with other people, personally and in business. So let me go back again to going back to the stress from the past. When you have that fear from the past, when you project that into the future, what does that fear do when you project it in the future? It produces a level of an A word. Anxiety. We get anxious. We don't have to feel like, ugh. It could just be very subtle. But when we're anxious, what often happens when we're anxious? We tend to, now it's a P word. Procrastinate. Well, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this prototype done. I'll get to it next week, next month, next year. I never got to it. I got these great ideas. Never got to it. Because what has happened is limited beliefs have gotten your way. They projected this fear that you're not good enough. You don't have the confidence. You don't have the level of self-esteem. You don't have the skills necessary to play ball at a higher level. And it's nobody that's stopping you. It's yourself. And the thing is, no matter what has happened, it's always our responsibility to address. There's no one there that can fix you. And that's another thing we've been conditioned in this society, is that we're always seeking solutions to our problems on the outside. And while they're great services, they're great coaches, they're great services, probably great products, but in itself, like even me, this is what I do. I coach people and I coach businesses. But can I solve their problems just for coming from me 100%? Absolutely not. Can I guide them to do the process to do the things as long as they do their part and then be successful? Absolutely. It's a two-way street. It's like with anything that you do. You might, like a case, you do websites. But if everyone said, hey, I want you to do everything for me, I want nothing to do with it. You may, now I'm not saying this is the case with you, but some people might say, well, I can do all that for you. I'll make you look like a hero. But if you don't have the input and they're not doing certain things that they're supposed to do, they're not going to be successful.
They know their business better than me. So.
Exactly. There you go. It's got to be a two-way street. And that requires communication.